Now we can build a shrine of our own, though I got some alternatives in mind. Zolf doesn't touch the thing. Says the god of commotion is no children's toy. The Ura feared the gods. We turned them into toys, put their faces on our walls. The accused always got a fair shake. Some used to take the bullhead trial. Survive the trial without taking a scratch, you'd walk away a free man. Court is back in session for the kid. Old ritual from when folks believed there was this godlike bull watching over them. Had to make do with nothing but a shield. smarter ones knew when to just step aside and let things go. The trial pushed many a man to his limits. Some folks wound up taking the coward's way out. A lot of folks never made it out of there. There's only one way to cinder brick fort. The hard way. Sure, the city marshals may be gone, but now the fort's crawling with windbags. The calamity was mercy for normal folks. The windbags ain't so lucky. They've been left to freeze or starve or face the kid. But windbags young and old keep fighting for the fort. At least the marshals left the kid a parting gift. much different from normal folks. All they want's a warm place to stay and a decent meal. The calamity drove the windbags topside. A lot of them wound up here in this very fort. Business underground like in the old days. Windbags can't use the martial supplies, but the kid sure can. As for the windbags, Cinderbrick gave them enough heat and metal to munch on for a while. Well, the fort ain't theirs by right. Can't blame them for wanting it, though. So many of those sorry things holed up inside that old fort. Not a scratch on him as he presses on to higher ground. Kid's blasting everything in sight with that newfangled musket. Windbags put the kid on notice. Kid's stash of grenades is there for him if things get even worse. Security's plane gone haywire. Windbags gummed up the works. Kid ain't afraid of getting burned. They trapped the kid in the middle of the horse parade grounds. Then they bring out Glutus and Glandon and all their scumbag uncles. They got something to gain, and only their sorry hides to lose. Kid takes down Glutus. Maybe it was Glandon. The windbags finally get the message. Kid used to dream of getting a marshal's badge, but not like this. The Skyway's a welcome sight after all that. And now ain't nothing left for nobody down at Cinderbrook Fort. Kid shows up just as Zulf's telling me about his own journey to the city. The marshals seem like good men, he says. They treated him with dignity. Zulf brought his antique smoking pipe all the way from the terminals. Seems the only thing the Calamity saved for Zulf was his smoking pipe. The poor kid collapses after just one drag. The past. Only good thing ever come out of the past is history. Catches up with the kid. Hardly had a moment's rest since all this started. Fair to say he's led a hard life, supposing what he says in his sleep ain't no lie. He never knew his old man, but he had his mama to take care of. Frail thing with pure white hair like his. Having his mama's hair did the kid no favors while he was growing up, but he learned to hold his own out there. School ain't working out, so the kid signs up for a turn on the rippling walls. Make his mama some money. Thanks to folks like the kid, the walls kept Ceylondia safe from whatever's out there. The elements, the Ura, you name it. Once the kid done his time, he hurried on home. Turns out his mama's time was done too. The city had nothing for him. The money he'd been sending home was nowhere to be found either. So what'd the kid do? Why, he went right on back to the walls for another 5 years. In the history of Caelandia, nobody's ever volunteered for a second shift on the walls. Out there, kid learned to fend for himself. Learn to build. Learn to break. In time, the kid earned good standing with the marshals. They trusted him to scout out farther than anybody. One night, on one of his expeditions, the ground beneath him shuddered, cracked, and split apart. He saw nothing where the world used to be. The calamity happened just like that. All the kid had to work with was his hammer and the clothes on his back. Through twisted streets, he ran with nothing but the city crest and an old stranger's voice to guide him. finally arrived at Caelandia's vaunted safe haven. He and no one else. But then, all they got was more thankless work from a man who ain't even asked his name. Sure, I may be the one who dreamt up the walls and the Bastion, but the kid made them real, not me. I'd like to say I'll never forget him, or what he's doing, what he's done. I surely would. Zolf's travels ain't much compared to what the kids had to go through for all this. Anything survives a musket shot ought to be quick work for that blade. You want to tune a scrap musket, you start with the barrel. Even since the Ura surrendered to us, the Marshals kept a wary eye on him. Ware whiskey has no scent, but tastes like a peppered boot heel. It's not for everyone. The Lost and Found. Here, kid takes fragments of the old world and makes them whole again. All it takes is some fragments, and the Bastion makes it good as new. The Trappers, daring bunch of fools. They'll be missed. The Gravers, the arm of justice. They seemed unstoppable. The Marshals kept the city's peace. They can rest easy now. Points just don't get any sharper than that. The Langston River flowed free and wild till the Calamity drank it all up. Maybe all that water just grew wings and flew off. Riverbanks swarming with windbags. They're so bent on finding the core, they hardly notice the kid. Lucky for him, a certain famous ferry barge is still afloat. Weepin' Nellie. She sends some squirts crying home as she leaves port. Maybe Nellie knows the way to the core. Maybe she can slip right past all the clamor on the coast. Or maybe not. A security skiff pulls up portside. Nellie's just another windbag to those guns. Just then, the windbags notice who she's sailing with. They're pretty steamed about what happened at Cinderbrick. They try to cut her off. They try to slow her down. They try to knock her out. snag. Kid's gotta help her get untangled. Favors for favors. At least she picked a good spot for a break. The core's right there. Then the kid hears an unusual sound, like 100 flapping wings. Peckers. They've been watching his every move. They had their own eyes on the core. But why? Well, kid ain't got time to think it over just yet. He finds weeping Nelly raring to go. Turns out she's got a special surprise for when the waters get rough. She's gonna need a little help with all them peckers. Crafty things think they're king of the roost now. Wish we could fly in times like these. Security skiffs keep on coming, starboard side. Don't seem to care what they shoot, as long as they hit something. The windbags get an even better idea. They aim to smash weeping Nelly to splinters. Kid boards one of them skiffs like some kind of Ceylondian privateer. Well, it all proves too much for poor Nelly. She's just gotta make one last stop. With her last breath, Nelly gets the kid to solid ground. Solid ground in pecker country. Seems the calamity ain't hurt the peckers' appetites. They want that core real bad. Might be they want it just as bad as a kid. Kid shoos them off, knowing they'll be back. Know how many times kid nearly fell off the bar back there? A good couple of times. Now, listen close. You should remember this next part. Why go to Prosper Bluff? Used to take an enterprising man, or plain old fool, to venture out that far. The city was the most beautiful place in the world. We all knew that. But on the other hand, some folks just yearn to see the things they're told they can't. And that's why you go to Prosper Bluff, ain't it? The other kid hears something he ain't heard in a long while. How's it go again? Yeah, that's the one.
I dig my hole, you build a wall. I dig my hole, you build a wall. One day that wall is gonna fall. Come build that city on a hill.
Well, no point explaining what happens next, right? Suffice it to say, kid ain't coming home empty-handed. And besides, it's like the song goes. They'll be here before too long. We darn near celebrated when the kid got back, didn't we? Zolf never thought he'd see a fellow Ura again. We become fast friends. Calamity has that effect on people. But there was more to be done. There was one last core to find. A scientific journal written in Zolf's native tongue. He learned so much from it. Too much. If only I'd known half the secrets of the Calamity were tucked away in that book, I'd have worked to translate it right away. Most of the Ura never got a taste of Caelondia's fine goods, unless they were born and raised in the city like Zia here. Sure, the world's all gone to pieces farther than the eye can see, but leave it to this gal to point out the amazing view. Girl tried to run away from home one time, but the marshals stopped that, didn't they? So many secrets in there and she can't even read it. Her father's own journal. Kid's surprised when I tell him there's only one core left. I shouldn't have believed it either. Behold, the Pantheon. Finders keepers. Now he can shoot that fang repeater all day long. We track the final core beyond the city to the wilds. The wild unknown. Place can eat a man alive. Place is so raw, even the Calamity couldn't cook it. Not all of it. Know what's better than having a slinger pistol in a fight? Having two. Savage things lurking at every turn. Pin cushions ain't the worst of it either. Peckers got the core, like they're building a bastion of their own. The welcoming committee scrambles to attention. Didn't expect the kid so soon. By now, kid's got more needles in him than a stab wound. They shouldn't have let the guard down. The core's right there, itching to come home. Getting that core was one thing. Getting out's gonna be another. He digs his way out of the clearing, but the wilds won't let him go without a fight. All too easy to lose one's way out in the wilds. Wallflowers survive the calamity. It toughened them up. Same goes for the kid. Don't ever turn your back on a pincushion. Kid's roused up half the wild by now. Then kid gets the feeling he's being watched. Not by me, by a lunkhead. And lunkheads ain't fond of two-legged animals. The wild's already reclaimed this place. He's anxious to get back. After all, he's got the final core. His journey's over, right? Well, no, it ain't. Not by a long shot. Kid knows something's up when we ain't there to give a warm welcome. See, Zolf and I were just wrapping up a heated discussion. Zolf can barely muster the words. The calamity failed, he says, but I will not. And with that, Zolf leaves us here, alone. Zolf cursed the city, cursed the Bastion, cursed me, said he was going home. When Zolf got through reading that journal, he just snapped. Started smashing up the monument till I tried to stop him. Zolf banged up the monument pretty bad. But there's a way to put her back together. The shards. We're gonna need all of them to nurse the Bastion back to health. Takes a lot of moving pieces to make a dependable sidearm. The city brought the shards to the wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring them back. After Zolf's little episode, kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jawson Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back. Well, I let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? Zolf put us in a real bind. Hurt the Bastion bad. But the shards can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the core's medicine. Shame the only place to fill that prescription is out here in the wilds. This place is intoxicating. Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good, for all I know. Wherever he is, somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go. The dead welcome him with open arms. Kid pops him good. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. What do you say to a kid who's seen too much? I'm Zolf of Hiya. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now the kid sees something stranger still. Did anybody survive. Peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, vine apples, swamp weeds, ankle gators. There's no way out. Now the Bastion can send him even farther, into the wild unknown. Kid sets foot inside one of Caelondia's famous watering holes. The security's just fantasy. Succeeds where the calamity failed. Would you look at what he did to poor old Rondi, the bartender? Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world's alright, snoozing there on a rock in the sky. He wakes up. I'm just fooling. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. He sees what's left of Piff, the bull. The gods, they're all undone. He sees what's left of his lifelong friend. His friend, he's come undone too. He sees what's left undone. Thought we'd lost him, but he finally comes to. The shard ain't lost either. Not anymore. Now to find a ticket out of this hole. Bootlickers dig their nasty thorns into his heels. Ever heard of a lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say. The breath on that thing, like a scumbag's drunk. They say one whiff of lung blossom can make you lose your mind. Well, a kid prunes it down the size somehow. Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers. That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business. A single shard can breathe new life into this place. The shard's got enough juice to spruce up any of these places. The city tried to use the shards to stake out the wilds. So much for that plan. Rothless Lagoon. Even the brushers stopped going there. Didn't like being eaten. If you're feeling low, count on the buttery flavor of our own Bastion bourbon. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers.